What is up everyone, and welcome to some more F1 22 My Team career mode. Last time out we were at the Belgian Grand Prix, and despite the fact that we were having a strong performance, looked like we were going to be on for P2 or P3, we unfortunately suffered a mechanical failure, and subsequently we retired from the race and we scored 0 points. Nonetheless, our nearest championship rival Norris didn't score that many points either, so our championship lead remains mostly intact. We're still over 20 points ahead. And yeah, we're going to be hoping for a better time out in Monza. No Dutch Grand Prix this year because Max Verstappen has not been good enough to warrant there being a Grand Prix in the Netherlands. He hasn't won a championship in 5 years at this point. So yeah, he's going to be one of a few drivers potentially trying to hunt me down in the end of the season. It was a control electronics failure that we suffered in the previous Grand Prix, which means we're going to be taking our second one of those and hopefully running that till the end of the season. But yeah, Monza, I'm sure most of you who have seen me race around Monza before know that it is a track I find immensely difficult. We don't tend to have an incredible amount of pace around here, especially not in the acceleration zones. There's a lot of issues we have regarding traction and stuff like that, which have plagued us for a big part of this entire career mode. And yeah, I think unfortunately we're going to continue suffering with those. In this track in particular, it's a track which is very favourable to those who can get good traction out of corners, and as I'm not one of those people, I think I'm going to struggle here quite a lot. So the target, I think I'm going to aim low. The target is going to be to get into Q3. Anything more we can do will be fantastic, and then yeah, hopefully just score a few points in the race to keep hold of our championship lead, even if it comes down a little bit over the course of the weekend. So yeah, I'm hoping for a good race from Oscar Piastri's side as well. You know, he's kind of on race weekends like this. He's kind of the person I want to put my faith in, you know, in the same way that I did with Porsche when he was at the team. He was P6, so not terrible from him, and I was a disappointing P20. Didn't feel like I was going to be super fast here, and indeed I was the slowest of the medium compound runners. And had Alonso and Magnussen done medium runs, I probably would have been the slowest person on the grid. So yeah, not fantastic. Hopefully we're a little bit faster than that in qualifying and in the race, but you know, we just have to make do with what we've got. If it's not going to be a good weekend for us, then we have to hope that we can bounce back in the following Grand Prix. You know, coming up is Japan and Singapore. They're races that actually haven't been too terrible for me compared to my sort of expectations of them. So I'm thinking that Japan might actually go quite well for me. I'm thinking that Singapore might actually go quite well for me as well. So if we can get good races in those two Grand Prix, then we might not have to worry too much about Monza. To add insult to injury, it is in fact a wet qualifying session here in Monza. We're on the intermediate tyres for the time being, and our first run barely gets us ahead of Magnussen. And I get the feeling that we are going to have to improve quite a lot on that if we want to be in Q2, as Gasly and Schwartzman are ahead of us in what I would consider generally slower cars. But we improved by about a second on our next flying lap, 1.2 improvement as we come around the parabolica. And yeah, we need it. We're down in 21st. 1.3 should be enough, hopefully, to see us through. And well, we'll find out. In the end, it was P4, and we have made it through quite comfortably. It was a slightly drying track, so I guess it makes sense that that we would be in that kind of position. And yeah, only a tenth off of Sainz in P2, but Leclerc a long way ahead. You know, keen to impress the Tifosi early, but can he do it in Q3 is the question that we have to ask here. You know, anyone can do it in Q1, but can he keep up that form until Q3? I only did one run in Q2 because the track was drying the whole time, so I thought I'd wait to get out on the soft compound tyres, and eventually that time came. The track was drying again, which helped us a little bit. We did a 1:19.8, and that was good enough to put us P5, and we got through quite comfortably in the end. So I'm hoping to see a decent performance in Q3. But who knows? Yeah, a bit of a mix-up here. Only the two Ferraris and the two Haas's getting through, and then no other team with two drivers get through. Piastri is out in P15, which is especially harsh. But yeah, we have an Alpha Tauri and a Williams and two Haas's in Q3. So a very bizarre sort of lineup on Q3. You know, even a Ferrari getting eliminated there. We had a Red Bull eliminated. Literally, oh wait, actually no, we didn't get a Ferrari eliminated. I think it was the Ferraris and the Haas that got through. But we had a Mercedes eliminated, a Red Bull eliminated, a Jaguar eliminated. It was very, very odd. The order that things shook out. We did one run at the beginning on a used set of softs, and it was good enough to put us P7 at the time. But we got bumped down to P9 as people continue to improve, and now we're trying to go even faster to make ourselves get further up the grid. You can see that Albon is on a 1:18.7. I think our current time is a 1:18.9. So the rate that we're currently improving would be good enough to see us into at least P6. And we improved by 0.3 coming around the Parabolica. The extra tyre grip really helping us out there. We improved to a 1:18.2, and that is going to be good enough for P4. That is an outstanding qualifying performance at Monza, quite frankly. At a track I'm not comfortable with in the slightest, I'm very happy with that.
Qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves once again of our top three: Sainz, Verstappen, and Charles Leclerc. With qualifying wrapped up now, we have our grid lineup for the big race tomorrow. Be sure to join us then for what will no doubt be a fantastic race.
Carlos Sainz claims a monumental pole position. The top three I was not catching this time around. And yeah, we were quite fortunate to slot into P4 there, only a 10th ahead of the cars behind. Yeah, Sainz actually starting to come good in this career mode now. You can see that he's you know, having a tremendous run of form. He won in Belgium, and now he's on pole at the team's home race in Italy. So yeah, fantastic from him. Maybe he'll be right up the order come the end of the season. Maybe he'll be even, you know, sort of challenging for the championship alongside Norris, and I think Verstappen will probably build back into it at some point as well. So yeah, a lot of things to be excited about, but for the time being, we've got a job to do. I want to consolidate the position we're in, P4. If we can get at least the top 5 finish in this race, I don't think we're going to be moving forward. I think the front three are just too fast on this occasion, but hopefully we can consolidate P4.
Welcome back to one of only 2 countries that has held a race every year since the very first Formula One World Championship in 1950. It is, of course, Italy, one of the great racing nations, and it's time to get underway for the Italian Grand Prix. With top speeds reaching 215 miles per hour, only a few places can challenge Monza's crown as the fastest track in Formula One. Hard braking zones going into the 3 chicanes make up the majority of the 11 corners on this 3.6-mile circuit. And just in case the slipstream wasn't enough, 2 DRS zones will help encourage some close action. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. It's Carlos Sainz in pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Robinson, Yuki Tsunoda, and Ricciardo, Albon, Mick Schumacher, Schwartzman, and George Russell, Joe, Ocon, Lando Norris, and Fernando Alonso, Oscar Piastri, Gasly, Sergio Perez, and Teo Pourchaire, Stroll, Latifi, Magnussen, and Christian Lundgaard. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box. Ant, it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the rundown into turn 1, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
I just hope we can cling on here, to be perfectly honest with you. I hope that we don't get, you know, swallowed up by the rest of the pack, which could very easily happen. This is one of those tracks a little bit like Azerbaijan was in Season 1, where I just feel like the AI are so superior in the traction zones to me. We got Tsunoda behind on the medium tyres, so that should give us at least a little respite, knowing that our closest Our closest rival on the grid is going to be starting on the mediums. I think who we're really going to have to worry about down into turn 1 is going to be Ricciardo. But, you know, maybe I could try and mount a challenge on the hometown hero, Charles Leclerc. I know it's obviously not his home race, but the team's home race. And I'm sure they'll be probably pinning their hopes on him and Carlos on pole, even though, you know, Leclerc is currently ahead in the Drivers' Championship. It's pretty close between the two of them, I would say. And no one's really been able to hold a candle to me and Norris so far, but maybe this is the race where this front three finally start closing that gap as the lights come on. And the lights go out, and you can see that Leclerc has had a pretty good start there. I've had an alright start compared to the cars around. Sonoda, as predicted, is being swallowed up, and Ricciardo, as predicted, is going to be challenging me down into turn 1. He comes up my inside, potentially looks at going up the inside of Leclerc there, thinks better of it. We have the inside to the following part of the chicane, but yeah, as we run through, you can see that Ricciardo's going to get the better traction, and we're going to be relegated down into P5. So yeah, not the start we were quite looking for, but perhaps we can get Ricciardo back into the braking zone up here. I'm not sure, it depends how late he brakes. We do think about going up the inside. We force him a little bit wide, he has to go over the curb. Oh, and we get crunched straight into the back of Ricciardo, unfortunately. Break our front wing off. And yeah, that's going to be an early pit stop for us, unfortunately, to change that front wing. We're going to put the hard compound tyres on to the end, which is not great. It means that after we pit, we're probably going to be slower than everyone else on track. Most people are starting on the soft compound tyres here. But, you know, we have to try and do what we can to recover anything from this race. It probably won't be 5th place anymore, I would wage to say, but, you know, if there's a safety car, we might still be in with a chance. Get forced a little bit wide there due to a battle with Ricciardo's teammate Norris there, who, yeah, Ricciardo, I don't want to peddle any conspiracy theories, but he's driving for McLaren, as is the guy who's closest to me in the championship. And now I'm behind the guy who's closest to me in the championship as we come into the pit stop phase. So I am going to have to bang in some seriously strong laps on these hard compound tyres. I think I should be able to catch the back markers at least. But after that, you know, we're really going to struggle, because by the time everyone comes into the pits, we'll have already been running on these tyres for, what, 9-10 laps, maybe even more than that. So people are going to have more tyre life and more pace than me for the whole Grand Prix, basically. And this is just, you know, at this point, I was honestly thinking maybe I should just retire early and try and save the engine. But where's the interest in that? You know, maybe we can still recover to the points. Like I said, if there's a safety car, it really, you know, could bring us back into the fold. If it comes early, especially, then we could really be looking at potentially finding our way into you know, into a decent position in this Grand Prix. Lap 6 now, you can see I haven't really caught those sort of you know, the drivers at the back of the grid at quite the pace I would have liked to. I'm still sort of 25 seconds behind the likes of Stroll and Magnussen, those Aston Martins, who you know, I think they are getting caught up a little bit, but not as dramatically as I would have liked. You know, you can see over the course of the lap here, I've only closed them down by sort of, you know, 0.5 of a second or so, and this was a particularly good lap in this case that we closed them down by maybe you know, a few tenths of a second or so. But just generally, we were really struggling to catch them. I think a few cars coming into the pits now, and we're going to see where they come out in relation to us. We do get ahead of Stroll at least, but you can see that Alonso is quite far ahead of us, unfortunately, or not quite far ahead of us, but he is ahead of us, and he will have the superior pace on those medium compound tyres, which are completely fresh compared to our slightly decayed hard compound tyres. I think we're going to come out ahead here of Magnussen as well. Maybe Alonso and Schwartzman going to be having a bit of a battle here going into turn 1, and perhaps that will allow me to catch up, but Alonso actually just ahead. So yeah, he doesn't end up compromising these guys too much. It would have been nice to try and challenge them, but yeah, so far the only cars we're ahead of are the Aston Martins. And you can see Lance Stroll actually has the pace on me, where he's burning the battery as we run down to the Parabolica. And yeah, we're going to have to try and get him back with the DRS into turn 1 as we try not to concede too much time to Magnussen behind. Sainz has to come in again, and that is brutal for him and his chances of winning this Grand Prix. He's now going to be going all the way to the back of the field. He's already pitted once, and now he's pitting for a second time, which yeah, that's going to cost him big time, unfortunately. And we're gonna we're going to slightly benefit from that, but I would wager to say that he'll probably end up catching us before the end of the Grand Prix with the superior pace that he'll have on whichever compound of tyre he chooses to go on. I think he's a little bit faster than us on this occasion. As Stroll goes back up the inside, he goes a little bit deep, and we cut back on him and make our way back into P19. As we try and hold on in this defence against the worst car on the grid. That is an indicator of how much I was struggling to be on the pace this weekend. Just not my circuit, Monza, I don't think, in this career mode. But that's okay, you know, beggars can't be choosers, and we're leading the championship. That's all I can ask for. Norris isn't in a points-paying position. I tried to cover off Stroll, but misjudged the timing on it, and actually I think he picked up a bit of damage from that contact there, so he'll be pitting again. And that's the fastest way to relieve the pressure on you. Give your opponent damage. So Stroll will be going back into P22. We have no qualms letting him through, apart from the fact that he might be a little bit slow through the Parabolica. We try and cut back on him up the inside, but this is not no-name corner at Belgium or Luffield at Silverstone. We can't do it. Lundgaard now in, and Albon now in. We'll see if we can get ahead of Albon. It's going to be pretty close as we come down the run into turn 1. We're side by side, but with a superior tyre grip. You know, he's still warming up those tyres. We're just about able to get through, as was K-Mag. And now he is going to be challenging us, I would say, for this final points-paying position. Poor Cher has pitted, and he has come out a decent chunk of time ahead of us as well. So I think P16 is going to be the maximum that we can extract from this race, unfortunately. And also, you've got to remember, we've got Sainz, who is charging down the field now. He's just behind Magnussen, who's just behind me. They've both got DRS, and I have to pick a side of the racetrack, or I am going to get swallowed up by both of them, most likely. So I stick to the inside. Sainz gets ahead of Magnussen, and now Sainz goes up my inside as well, but he can't quite make the move stick on this occasion. And we squeeze him out a little bit in the hopes that Magnussen might be able to challenge him back to hold him up, but he can't quite do it. And I think that now we are probably a sitting duck through this next section as we come on the run down to the second chicane on the track. And indeed, Sainz has made his way back up into P16 on his potential fight back for points, but probably more likely that he will finish outside of the points. And now Magnussen is going to try and do the same thing. He goes up the inside there, but he can't quite make the move stick on this occasion. So he stays in P18, and we find ourselves P17. We've broken away from Albon a little bit, but with the DRS, Magnussen's continued to be able to hold on to me. So we need to be cognizant of what he's up to. And as we come on the run down to lap 1 and lap 20, or turn 1 and lap 20, he actually makes a tiny bit of contact with me there. I get a bit of a snap because he tacks my rear right wheel, but I don't think I caused him any damage on this occasion. I didn't have any problems. So everything's fair. And now I think he's going to try and challenge me back up the inside as we come into this next chicane. He goes a little bit deep, unsurprisingly, and we manage to go around the outside of him. The AI can't judge the braking point on that corner to save their life at the moment. They keep going deep, and I keep punishing them for it. And Magnussen does the same thing that Lance Stroll did a few laps ago. Now we move on to the end of lap 24, beginning of lap 25. And only 3 laps left to go in this Grand Prix. We're going to see if we can hold on to this final position. Magnussen is going to be keen to take it off of us, but I'm going to be doing everything in my power to hopefully keep him behind for the remainder of the race. We've only got 3 laps left. I've been defending from him so far. It's pitiful that the only car I was able to race in this Grand Prix was an Aston Martin, but I guess that's the nature of the contact. I think I was slightly to blame. I did go for a fairly aggressive move on Ricciardo at the beginning, but still, I don't understand why he slammed on the brakes after he. Oh, we make a bit more contact there between myself and Magnussen. He goes deep again as Christian Lundgaard retires from the race, and we have held on to this position once again. But what was I saying? I don't understand why Ricciardo slammed on the brakes after he went over the corner in such a way that he did. I'm surprised he didn't pick up floor damage or something. It's just generally bizarre that I was the one that came off worse from him overshooting the corner a little bit. But what can you do? Magnussen. We make a bit of contact earlier in the lap, but everything's fair, and we stay as we are. So I'm not too disgruntled about that. I think Magnussen might be looking for a move up the inside here at Parabolica. Yeah, he does think about it. He's keeping his foot in a little bit, but he can't quite find the traction. He's on quite old medium compound tyres by this point. been on for about 16-17 laps. So yeah, a lot to do. Albon closing him down in the DRS zone as well, but with the DRS I think it's going to just be the Magnussen show. If it's going to be anyone's move, is he going to look up the inside at turn 1? He is. We're going to try and hold him off around the outside, and yeah, we do just that. I think there's going to be 1 or 2 more positions where he might think about a move on us, but we've got a little bit of battery to defend with, so we're going to be using that for the remainder of the final lap. And yeah, at this point I kind of just want this race to be concluded. Yeah, I don't know, just not really a fan of what's happened. You can see Max Verstappen crosses the line. We're still a long way off, so Max Verstappen inherited the win after Sainz picked up whatever damage he did. And yeah, like I said, he will be keen to try and close up this gap to the front of the field. I don't know if Norris got points. We'll have to wait to see whether that happened or not. I hope not. I saw he was running at P13 in one stage of this Grand Prix, but you know, he is in a fast car, so I'm sure he was able to make up some position. But yeah, I don't know for certain what is going to be the case with his final race position. You can see that Magnussen's a fair amount back from me, but he's closing me down this whole time. I wasn't burning any battery, and now I think we're going to try and burn battery to the line to hopefully consolidate this final position. We're actually, yeah, we are burning the battery now. Weave a little bit, and yeah, we come home P17. Not the best result in the world, but you know, I'm just happy that we managed to finish a Grand Prix. Makes a refreshing change from Belgium, at least, where we suffered a big DNF. Hopefully that won't be critical, but yeah, once again, no points.
Well, Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today, but what set them apart from the rest?
Are you there? Hello? Where is he? Max Verstappen did nothing, apparently, according to Anthony Davidson. Rough.
Red Bull are our winners today after showcasing some incredible driving. There's been a huge push from them lately to stay competitive with the other teams, and they're certainly proving themselves.
So yeah, an almost 30-year-old Max Verstappen claims a win in Monza to upset the Tifosi, and Leclerc has to settle for second best. And honorary Italian Daniel Ricciardo on the podium, pronounces surname the correct Italian way for the culture. Yeah, he makes his way onto the podium at Monza. So yeah, a little bit disheartening to see him up there, because we could have been there, but what can you do?
Focus on the driver of the day, Anthony Davidson. Who do you pick?
I'll probably go for Pierre Gasly. The team did a good job with the strategy to put him in amongst the pack, but it's the driver's job to capitalise on those opportunities, and he did so with a lot of skill.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. The lead at the top comes down after a strong weekend from the challenging pack. Well, that was certainly an exciting weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for more exciting Formula One action very soon.
Yeah, I just noticed that Gasly, P5 from P16. Piastri did great to recover from P15 to P7 as well. And Norris, crucially, was outside of the points, which means my gap remains at 22 points. But you can see that, you know, Leclerc, Verstappen, Perez, and who else was it? Leclerc, Verstappen, Perez, and Sainz are all closing in on the top two of myself and Norris. So it really could still be anyone's championship out of those six. Maybe even we could see Ricciardo or one of the Mercedes perhaps trying to break in there as well. I don't think we'll see Piastri able to get that high up before the end of the season. I think he's just a tiny bit too far off. You know, obviously he did do the first half of the season in a Haas, and you know, I've set the goal very clear for him. I want him to outperform Porsche over the course of a half a season. You know, he's had 4 races with us so far. He's scored a decent chunk of points. He obviously took the win in which race was it again? Was it Hungary? I think he won the race. So that was a fantastic result for him, and he's already had a couple of poles. So he's doing pretty much everything I want from him, but I hope that he can get another podium sooner rather than later. You know, he is in one of the fastest cars on the grid, and he is one of the fastest drivers on the grid. So I would expect to see some good performances from him. And yeah, apart from that, just a bit of a weekend to forget for myself, really. P17, I just couldn't, you know, after we had that damage, I couldn't find any kind of pace whatsoever. You know, I think if we'd have held on to the position we were in at the start of the race, you know, if we'd have been able to sort of cling on to P4, P5, then we could have come home with some solid points and inherited P4 or P3, depending on where we were after Sainz had that incident. But yeah, unfortunately, we just caught up behind Ricciardo. You know, like I said, I think it was just a 50-50 racing incident. I'm not gonna point the finger too much. I don't think Ricciardo intended to give me any kind of damage or anything like that. Just generally, racing incident, I don't know, and hopefully we can bounce back in, I believe the next race is in Singapore, so yeah, we'll be looking to go well there. We have had a podium there, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was in season 3 after it was off the calendar in season 4. Season 1 we were on course for a points finish, we had a DNF. Season 2 we had a big recovery actually there. We spun all the way down to the back of the grid at the beginning of the race and managed to find our way back up into P12, but it wasn't good enough for points. So yeah, season 3, the only good race I've had there so far. I'm hoping that this year I will be able to add to my tally of good Singapore Grand Prix. And yeah, Max Verstappen running away in this rivalry. I don't think I'm going to be able to catch him by this point unless he suffers some unreliability. So yeah, it might be looking like the difficulty's going down a little bit, but you know, maybe I just can't hack it on 86 AI as we're currently on. You know, we've bumped it up quite a lot over the course of the season, and maybe we've just maybe we've found the limit now here in the 5th season. Maybe 85, 86 is about the right position for me. It feels so weird saying that, knowing that I'm doing a driver career on Twitch as well, where I'm on 90 AI, and I'm, you know, I said it 90 because I thought I was being fairly, you know, generous to my own abilities, and then I qualified P3 in a Haas. So who can say? But that is going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel so you can get regular updates on when the videos are coming out, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.